Good morning and welcome to the forecast for the last of the Sailjuice series, the Oxford Blue. And yeah, so it's looking very similar to what we expected. A couple of days ago, we had the video briefing on Wednesday, and yeah, no, we're in a position where we have low pressures all the way around to the north of us, and then we've got a high pressure starting to encroach from the south here, and what that's doing is it's kind of stabilizing the synoptic situation, and we can see quite clearly here that the isobars are really spread out, and it doesn't take much to figure out that means that we're not going to get overly much wind. We've obviously got this big low coming in, and that will start affecting us probably about tomorrow morning, depending on how fast that moves and how well this high pressure blocks it. So that's not an effect for us, and synoptically it's reasonably boring. We've got a couple of little features which are going to start cropping up, and yeah, frankly it will be short showers at most. If it's not worthy of becoming a trough on a synoptic chart, it's really quite patchy. So looking at the radar, this was at 7:15, and you can see that we've got little scattered showers. So these are both the troughs that we saw on, I'm just going to go back on here, so that bad boy, and then we've actually got this occluded front, which will turn into a trough eventually, and that's kind of the life cycle of synoptic weather, I suppose. And then we've actually got some stuff off the south of France, or off the northwest coast of France, just over here to the south of us, and that's staying reasonably isolated out of our way. So moving into the forecast, we are starting pretty much with a northerly, so 350, and that is swinging left throughout the day. So the course setters and the mark layers are going to have fun shifting everything left gradually as the day progresses. But it's quite important to note that actually the early on shifts aren't overly big, kind of 10-20 degrees over the course of the morning, and I think actually a lot of that is going to be more influenced by oscillations and local effects than we'll see kind of like a big synoptic picture. And then looking at the kind of wind speeds, it's actually more than I was expecting on Wednesday, so I've pumped those numbers up a bit. And we might expect some cloud from kind of 11 midday onwards, and that's going to be quite transient, so just like a little kind of cluster of low-lying clouds, and that's going to be moving on reasonably quickly, and that will be kind of in the early afternoon. In the late afternoon, we should start seeing some high clouds building, and that will be the very start of that low pressure coming in. And frankly, I don't think that's going to affect us. We should be off the water by then. A little bit warmer than I was expecting, but still very cold, so wrap up nice and warm. And apart from that, there's not really much to say about the wind. It's going to be light, but it's going to also be quite gusty, as you can kind of see in the morning. If I was a race officer, I'd be really keen to get everybody out there and racing as soon as possible, because the conditions do really decline after kind of 3 o'clock. So looking at the wind speed graphs, even, we've got a reasonably steady breeze from 8 o'clock onwards, which should probably be when you guys are watching this video. And then a steady decline around 11. I mean, times may vary, and then decreasing somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock. And it's really important to notice this directional change as well. So that gentle left shift to 1 o'clock, and then the big left shift in the afternoon, making it not quite unraceable, but very difficult to set a very good course. So hopefully you get some racing off pretty early, and yeah. So again, looking at the topography map. So we've got 350, which is pretty much north, and again, very light. I think we were expecting it from the south on Wednesday, and it's all clocking round because we're actually a little bit earlier than forecast. So we're actually starting from the north and then rotating round to the south here on our table. So originally I was expecting it to start somewhere around here and then clocking left, but instead we're starting up here just because we are the system is a bit later, so we're starting from a northerly. So we're starting over here, and to be honest, I don't think the land masses are going to make much difference. You might get some effect off the hills here, but again, they're not massive, a couple 100 meters, but a wee way away, and also not quite upwind. So you might get some convergence up here on that top right hand side at the start of the day. But again, as it starts rotating left, you kind of go through this flat section, and then once you kind of get all the way around to the southwest, you start getting a little bit more influence from the land, but to be honest, that's so late in the day that I'm not overly concerned about that. Yeah, so this has been a full series of briefings by myself, Steve, and you can find me on email, Instagram, or WhatsApp. And yeah, I really appreciate all of your support, and let me know what events you'd like me to do next.